There's a method to the madness here at Project Bluebook. We're building an information foundation and then we'll build more detail on top of it, expanding horizons of knowledge regarding unexplained phenomena. It's important to know the history, the events, the R&D, and the people behind this rapidly evolving revelation. Let's explore. Hi everyone and welcome to Project Bluebook, where we explore all things unidentified. I am Thor, and thanks for tuning in. It turns out UFO research is a dangerous pursuit based on history, reminding us of Cold War espionage stories, but only here the stakes are not East versus West, but the entirety of human civilization, past, present, and future. In this episode, I want to provide an overview of people who have by accident become eyewitnesses and those who have contributed to the cause of truth regarding unexplained phenomena by speaking out or simply become privy to sensitive information and sometimes paid for it with their lives. Let's name just a few of them and their cause of death without judgment or opinion, and you tell me what you think. Either way, they deserve to be memorialized. Sergeant Carl Wolf, U.S. Air Force Airman 2nd Class. In 1965, he was called in to repair equipment during a moon photo analysis session at NSA's facilities at Langley Field, Virginia, where he became a witness to the very moment a lunar orbiter shot a photograph of a base on the dark side of the moon. He came forward in the 1990s, 30 years later. Surprised it hadn't been made public yet, he continued to speak out during the 2000s, including joining Dr. Stephen Greer at a hearing before Congress, and in 2018 he was hit by a tractor trailer while biking in Lansing, New York. But let's go back to the beginning. James Forrestal, U.S. Secretary of Defense in 1949, committed suicide by plunging to his death outside a window of the Bethesda, Maryland National Naval Medical Center. Think of the time and place, as well as his privileged access. This was the time of discovery of alien presence, UFO crashes, and first secret communications. It is believed he intended to share information regarding aliens and UFOs with the world before his premature death. 22 British researchers at the Strategic Defense Initiative, also known as Star Wars, died by suicide. Among them was Alastair Beckham, an aerospace engineer with top secret clearance. His specialty was computer systems for naval defense operations, which puts him in the crosshairs of early UFO discoveries. After driving his wife to work in 1988, he wrapped a barbed wire around his chest, attached it to an electric outlet, and put a handkerchief in his mouth. He was 50 years old. Professor Keith Bowden, age 45 in 1982, plunged his car off a bridge into an abandoned rail yard. Cause of death, automobile accident. His collaborator, Colonel Anthony Godley, 49, defense expert and head of advanced research at the Royal Military College of Science, disappeared a few months later in 1983. Leaving absolutely no clues or trace of his whereabouts before disappearing. His body has never been found. Marconi Defense Systems, a military contractor with top secret clearances and a fully integrated company into the military-industrial complex, saw an abnormal amount of death by suicide or accident of its employees, including Ashad Sharif, 25, a computer analyst in 1986 in Bristol. Sharid tied a rope to a tree and a noose around his neck and then drove off at high speed in his car. Months later, Vimal Dajibai, 24, computer software engineer, was found dead 240 feet below the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol, England. Roger Hill, radar designer, shot himself at home in 1985. Jonathan Walsh, digital communications expert assigned to Marconi's parent firm at the secret Martlesman Research Facility, fell from his hotel room, also in 1985. He had expressed to family days earlier that his life was in danger because of his knowledge. Victor Moore, a Marconi engineer, died of a drug overdose in 1987. David Sands, a satellite projects manager in 1987, had been notified by his superiors that he was being promoted. Instead of celebrating, he filled his car with gas and drove into a wall of an abandoned house. Trevor Knight, in 1987, a computer engineer, was found dead in his car with an exhaust hose in his mouth. Edwin Skeels, also in 1987, found dead in his car with an exhaust hose in his mouth. Andrew Hall, engineer, 1988, found dead in his car with an exhaust hose in his mouth. John Britton, 1987, was found dead in his car, still running, inside his closed garage. No hose needed. The Marconi Defense System's death list goes on. Dr. James MacDonald, a physicist at the University of Arizona, had been openly lobbying Congress to take a closer look at the UFO phenomena and publish the results. In 1971, put a gun to his head for no reason known to his friends, family, and colleagues. Astronomer J. Allen Hynek, a famous name in ufology, having worked for Project Bluebook at the time, in 1986, Hynek underwent a prostate surgery to never wake up again, with a brain tumor discovered that ended his life right there and then, by chance. According to Dr. Hynek's affiliates, there had been absolutely no symptoms or mention of his brain tumor prior, despite frequent doctoral visits and examinations in preparation for his surgery. American pioneer broadcaster Frank Allen Edwards succumbed to a heart attack in June 1967 during the New York World UFO Conference, where Frank was set to speak about his research. The conference chair, Gray Barker, claimed he had received phone calls that threatened Edwards would not see the end of the conference alive. Captain Urangue Holanda, head of the Brazilian Air Force in 1977, went to the island of Colares to investigate a series of incidents where scores of people claimed to be repeatedly attacked by a beam of light, as if they were being hunted. Operation Saucer collected 15 hours of interviews and UFO footage, 500 photos, and hundreds of documents. The Brazilian government sealed the results for 20 years until 1997, when Captain Holanda gave an interview to UFO researcher Ademar Gavard, head of MUFON Brazil, and Marco Antonio Petit. He explained in great detail experiences with the UFO encounters and his staff's similar experiences over many years, 2 decades earlier. 3 months later, he was found dead by hanging without reasons anyone could explain. In 1993, Ronald Rummel, a retired Air Force intelligence agent and publisher of the Alien Digest, was found dead in a park in Portland, Oregon, shot through the mouth with a pistol he was still holding, yet had no fingerprints. He had left a suicide note that was analyzed to be written by a left-handed person, whereas Ron Rummel was right-handed. No blood was found on the gun or his hand, despite reportedly having been inside his mouth when he pulled the trigger. Phil Snyder worked at Dulce, the Rio Arriba Scientific and Technological Underground Auxiliary, where an alien base, 7 floors deep, dating back to time before time, was found. Phil was a geologist and an explosives expert, working with humans and aliens on expanding the complex underground. He was there in 1979 when a conflict erupted, resulting in the death of 66 humans and scores of alien graves, a topic for another episode. In the 1990s, he became an outspoken advocate at UFO conferences, telling incredible stories of human protein consumption, human glands used as drugs for alien highs, and much more. He was found dead on January 17, 1996, strangled by a catheter that was wrapped around his neck. Ron Johnson was the Deputy Director of Investigations at MUFON when in 1994, while attending a meeting in Texas, he died in the midst of a presentation. He was found slumped over, deceased, with blood oozing from his mouth and nose, and a half-finished soda can standing on the floor next to his chair. He held high security clearances and had purportedly been working on UFO propulsion systems, reverse engineering. It seems Ron Johnson lived a double life, one as UFO investigator for MUFON, the other as a UFO reverse engineering insider. Double agents die young, the saying goes. Anne Livingston, a MUFON investigator, died of ovarian cancer in 1994. She had just published an article in the November 1993 MUFON Journal critical of the electronic surveillance project of the Association for National Security There's a fascinating backstory known to Anne's closest confidants, that in 1992 she was cornered by 5 men in black, a topic for another episode, faceless, clone-looking, and each oddly carrying long black flashlight-looking objects. Carla Turner died in 1996 from a rapid onset of breast cancer, exactly like radio host and UFO interviewer Mae Russell. In 2013, paranormal researcher and author Lloyd Pye died of lymphoma after heavily promoting his theories regarding the Star Child skull and promoting evidence for alien-human hybrid programs. John E. Mack, Harvard Medical School professor of psychology, a Pulitzer Prize winner, and a great intellectual force in the alien abduction syndrome research, was struck by a car in London in 2004, while still active in UFO research. Philip Coppens, investigative researcher, radio host, and presenter of the well-known History Channel series Ancient Aliens. He died in Los Angeles in 2012 of angiosarcoma, a very fast-acting form of blood cancer. He was 41. 2 young UFO researchers died in 2016. Max Beers claimed to have been party to a secret government super soldier program. Died still in his 30s in July 2016. He had texted his mother days earlier, "If anything happens to me, investigate." The very same month, UFO researcher Gaurav Tiwari, age 32, was found dead under mysterious circumstances, and while investigation remains open, his death is being treated as a suicide. I know to many this long laundry list sounds typically conspiratorial, but it's not a laundry list. It's a gathering of names of people who have passed and were associated with UFO research. I have tried to be careful to present known facts only, untainted by theory or opinion, using J. Allen Hynek's as well as Nick Pope's methods, that even if 95% of the events are explainable and beyond doubt, that still leaves 5% unexplained, which in our system of justice is enough doubt to reject the passing of a judgment. Consequently, it's enough for us to conclude their causes of deaths remain unexplained. You can watch and listen to this and other podcasts on Project Bluebook, the place for the exploration of all things unidentified. Each day, let's practice compassion and kindness. And please subscribe. I am Thor, and thanks for listening. See you next time.